and is recording. And so let me go ahead and begin the PowerPoint presentations. Okay. So again, we're going to try to understand the issue of oligopolies. What is unique about oligopolies, right? So as you already know, when we talk about an industry, there's a couple of things that we take into consideration to classify an industry. You know, we talk about, for example, this company has power in the market. This industry has a unique product. These companies can actually, influence the price. For example, we know that perfect competition, there are industries, an industry that is made by many, many sellers, and all of them are small and they have no market power. On the other hand, we also know that monopolies, in many cases, the company is actually the industry and they have a lot of power. The question is, where does the power come from monopolies? And we already know that the power of monopolies come from the power that they have, that they actually control the supply. They don't have absolute power, but they have some power. Well, today we're going to be talking about an oligopolies, right? And we're going to try to figure out how do oligopolies work. I mean, how many suppliers are we talking about it? How do these companies relate? How big are they? Are there barriers to entry? What type of product do they sell? Okay, so let's begin. What is unique about oligopolies? Something that is very unique about oligopolies is the issue of market concentration. And by market concentration, we simply means that few companies control most of the output. Okay, few companies control most of the output. So then what is an oligopoly? Well, an oligopoly is a market structure that is composed of few companies. Now, how many is few? I do not know. They just few. However, some of them, or a small number of them, control most of the market output. And the way we look at it is we look at the 4 largest companies in that industry. And if the 4 largest companies in that industry control 60% of the market, then we know that we have an oligopoly. Okay. For example, in this case, if this is an industry which 1 million products are consumed, and the largest companies, 4 of the largest companies, produce 700,000 of these products, then we know that there's a market concentration of 70%. Again, if you have a concentration ratio of more than 60%, then that's an oligopoly. Examples of this would be, for example, the beer industry. How many beer manufacturers do we have in the United States? We have about 3 or 4. Worldwide, there's only about 4 or 5. Soft drinks. We're talking about soft drinks, we only have about 2 or 3, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola, and I don't know, probably Dr. Pepper. Very few suppliers. Batteries, the same story. Cigarettes. Most of the cigarettes consumed in the world is actually made by 3 of the 4 largest manufacturers. You know, internet browsers, baby food, cereals. Think about how many companies offer credit cards. We have Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. So as you can see, most of these 3 companies control the whole buying via credit cards. So in an oligopoly, there are only a few companies. They tend to be very big. There's a lot of barriers to entry. And in most cases, each company sells somehow basically the same standardized product, but they try to differentiate it. In other words, to me, they are the same products, but the company tries to tell you that the product is better than the competition. Think about this. For example, when we talk about the auto industry, how many car manufacturers do we have? Anybody know? How many car manufacturers do we have? You can mention General Motors, Ford, American car manufacturers, General Motors and Ford, and that's it. We used to have Chrysler, and then we have foreign car manufacturers, BMW and Toyota and Nissan. So, but 4 companies control about 50% of all the cars consumed in the world. Now, how many American car manufacturers can you name? And like I say, you only can mention 2. There's about 100 of them. There's about 100 car manufacturers in the United States. But all of them are so small that they make only like 1 or 2 cars, you know, or very few number of cars that people don't even put attention. Okay. So again, we're talking about the uniqueness about oligopolies. Okay, the uniqueness about oligopolies. Now, what else is unique about oligopolies? Again, in that oligopolistic market, there's a lot of barriers to entry, right? So And each company has a substantial market power. So then these companies, because there are few of them, have a problem. And the problem that oligopolies have is the issue of oligopolistic interdependence. Again, oligopolies have a problem, and the problem that they have is the issue of oligopolistic interdependence. Let me tell you what that means. Something that is unique about oligopolies is the issue of oligopolistic interdependence. And oligopolistic interdependence simply means that the actions of one company are always going to create counter reactions in another company. So then a company always makes decisions based on how they think the other company is going to do. Think about perfect competition. Perfect competition decides how much to produce, where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. They don't have to consult with the other companies. They know that they are going to be able to sell all the output as long as they sell it at the price that the industry has already determined. Monopolies, they have a demand curve that looks like this. Marginal revenue separates, and monopolies produce where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. And again, they make their own decision about what price they're going to charge. But oligopolies have a problem. And the reason is because they know that if they make one decision, the other company is going to counter-react. And again, in oligopolistic or oligopolies, we have few companies. Let's say 4 companies control the market, or the majority of the market. Let's say company 1 has 20% of the market, company 2 has 23% of the market, company 3, let's say, has 20% of the market, and company 4 has, let's say, 18% of the market. So together they have 81% of the market. Okay. Did the screen disappear? Okay, let me see if I can do it again. Let me come back right here. Let me see if I can join the meeting again because it kicked me out. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna put on pause. Informal cartels. Okay, again, oligopolies have a problem, and the problem that they have is the issue of oligopolistic interdependence. And oligopolistic interdependence simply means that the actions of one company are going to create counter reactions with another company. So then what oligopolies do, they either decide, should we go and try to fight my competition, or should we try to cooperate, right? Again, in the United States, it is illegal. It is illegal for you to cooperate with other companies. So then what these companies do, they create informal cartels. What is an informal cartel? An informal cartel is when you agree to cooperate without making it legal, okay? Without making it legal. Again, oligopolies they are always trying to preserve the market share, because they know that if one company is winning, then another company is losing. So they're always looking at what the other company is doing. So when a company lower a price, they're afraid that the rivals are going to undercut them. And again, oligopoly behavior is simply always, let's watch what the competition is doing. If a competition raises its prices, we can also raise the prices, but we want to raise it by just a little bit. If the competition lower the prices, we lower the prices and try to match whatever they are doing. Okay, so again, oligopolies don't like to compete on price. They prefer to compete on non-price competition in trying to tell you my product is better. They use advertising. They try to use product differentiation, which simply means, you know, my product is more appealing to other people and you have to buy my product. And again, what they are trying to do is just simply trying to improve brand loyalty. Now, once you become loyal to a product, then the company will be able to increase the price and consumers will still buy that. Think about, for example, the consumption of coffee in the United States. There's thousands of places where you can go buy coffee. You know, but most college students don't go to a regular coffee place. Most college students go to what? A Starbucks. Now, why Starbucks? Because you like to pay $5 for a cup of coffee? And the reason is because
established.
Starbucks have been successful in making you believe that the coffee they sell there is actually real coffee. Now, oh, it's good coffee. Think about this, guys. When you buy a latte grande or whatever you buy, Macao grande, you're not buying coffee when you go to Starbucks. What you're buying is a chocolate milk or chocolate, what's it called, a chocolate, a milkshake. A milk, that's what you're buying. You're buying a milkshake, right? And again, the company have been successful, saying my product is superior, and that's why they can increase the prices, and they are not going to lose customers. Okay, so again, oligopolies try to differentiate themselves. And again, the typical demand curve on an oligopoly is what is called a kink demand curve. And again, let me explain what I mean by a kink demand curve. If the line is straight, a typical demand curve, when a company increases the price, the other companies are not going to match it. They are not going to match it. So when you're going up, the companies are going to go up, but not as much as you. But when you decide to go down, the companies are also going to go lower than you. So then we simply mean that oligopolies will match you on the way down, but on the way up, you are by yourself. And that's why we say that oligopolies have a kink demand curve. Right? And again, this depends on how the competitions are going to respond. Okay? So oligopolies are always taking into consideration how the competition is going to respond. So it's more or less like a game strategy. They're always looking about, if I take this, what's going to be the outcome? Look at this, what we mean by game strategy. Okay, there are two companies. Let's say Universal. You are the owner of Universal, and this is your competition, rival actions. Now you, as the owner of Universal, have two choices. You can reduce the price, or you don't have to reduce the price. The same thing with the rivals. They can do the same thing. So what will happen if you reduce the price and the competition also reduce the price? Well, then both of you are going to lose some money. But what happens if you reduce the price and the competition do not reduce the price? Well, then you're going to gain because you're going to be able to sell more. But how about if you don't reduce the price and your company, the competition reduces the prices? Then you're going to lose money and your competition is going to gain. What happens if you don't reduce the prices and the competition does not reduce the prices? There will be no change. So then based on this, guys, what would be the advice that you will give Universal, or what will you do if you are Universal? Will it be better to lower the price or don't reduce the price? And the answer is, depends on what you think the competition is going to do. So then what it's telling you here is that on oligopolistic market, there's a lot of what is called corporate espionage. You try to figure out what the guys are doing over there, right? What are they going to do? What are they planning to do? What is the promotion campaigns they try to do? Or another option is just simply try to cooperate and go together. Try some type of coordination. Look, when I think of a cartel, what is the first? Can you mention any cartels? The cartel that everybody knows called the OPEC cartel. OPEC, the oil producing export countries of the world. Before the 1970s, all the nations that produce oil used to compete against each other by selling a lot of oil. And because there was so much output, the price of oil went to the floor. Then some of those nations, under the leadership of Saudi Arabia, came up with the idea and said, hey, how about if we all unite and we all control the output? So instead of having 15 different nations selling oil, now we create one organization in which if you want to buy oil, you have to buy oil from us, and that's OPEC. So OPEC was able to cut the supply of oil in the world market, right? And the price of oil went up, right? So that's OPEC. They were successful. Now think about another cartel. Have you ever heard about the Colombian cartel or the Cali cartel? I mean, you know about these cartels. What is the Colombian cartel? I mean, you have heard about Pablo Escobar, right? I mean, all these drug cartels. Now think about this. The drug cartel is an organization made by small producers that they all decide to unite and act like one. They act like one. So a cartel will work only if the members are willing to obey the rules of the game. And the rules of the game is you go and produce only what we tell you to produce, right? We know we try to cut the supply. For example, in Latin America, the drug cartels have worked because they have ways of enforcing that you're going to comply, right? They come and tell you, what do you want? You want, ¿quieres plata o plomo? You want silver or lead? No, think about it. ¿Quieres plata o plomo? You want silver or lead? In other words, you want to make money or you want to pull it in your head? Right? So then the other companies say, well, I prefer the silver instead of the lead. And as a result of this, they all cooperate. They have a way of enforcing. Again, in the United States, we have oligopolies that have unite together and they have created informal cartels, right? But again, as long as you don't do it formally, you're okay. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I was talking to my friend, and my friend, Bradley Jordan, he was the CEO of the Coca-Cola plant in town. And I asked him, I said, Bradley, every time I go to Food Lion to buy a soft drink, I see Coca-Cola on sale, like the 2-liter Coke for $1.29. And then I go another times and I see the Pepsi Cola on sale for, let's say, 89 cents. I said, but I never see the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi Cola 2-liter drinks on sale at the same time, right? And he just looked at me and smiled. He said, oh, by chance, we know that the first 2 weeks of the month belong to us, and the second 2 weeks of the month belong to Pepsi Cola. And they can do whatever they want during those 2 weeks, and we are not going to match them, or we're not going to run a campaign, to offset their advertisement campaign. And then the first 2 weeks of the month belong to us. We can do whatever we want, and they are not going to match us. So as you can see, then these two companies have created an informal cartel. They have never sat down and negotiate this, because if they do this, they're going to go to jail. But as long as it just happened by accident, then it happened by accidents. Another thing that happens is, in situations like this, a price leader begins to emerge, which simply means a company becomes the leader and all the other companies will follow. For example, in the airline industry, American Airlines has always been the price leader. When American Airlines increase the price of their tickets, the other companies increase the price of the tickets. When American Airlines begin to charge for extra baggage, all the other companies match them. When American Airlines begin to stop giving those little bottles of whiskey or wine when you go on overseas trips, right, or domestic trips, all the other companies will begin to follow. So as you can see, then the companies are cooperating to try to have some impact in profits by cooperation. And again, as long as they do it informally, it is accepted in the United States, okay? So then oligopolies, right, there's not a strategy. They are not going to stop for marginal cost because marginal revenue and act like monopolies, because we do not know how the other companies are going to respond, right? So when they coordinate, this is the things they can do. In some cases, again, outside the United States, this is very common, they do it. Companies engage in price fixing. Price fixing simply say, let's all charge the same price. Again, illegal in the United States. Price leadership. One company become the leader and everybody else follow. Very common in the United States. Very common in the United States. In some type of coordinations, when a company say, look, you take care of the West Coast and I take care of the East Coast, and I'm not going to compete against you. Or you take the North, I take the South, or you take the state of Kentucky and I take the state of Tennessee. So there's some type of market coordination between companies. Again, what they're creating is a cartel. What is a cartel? A group of firms with an explicit formal agreement to fix prices and output. In the United States, it is illegal, so what they create is informal. In other words, they don't sign the agreement, right? But they know that they are there, okay? because cartels are in violations of antitrust laws in the United States, right? The best example of a cartel is OPEC. I did mention that to you. So cartels work only when all the producers become members of the cartel. And everybody's going to obey the assigned quotas, right? OPEC has lost some of its power because some of the countries in the world have decided to produce more than what they're supposed to produce. And that's why we have a surplus of oil, okay? So oligopolies have control of the market. And one of the things that they have in working in their favor is that there's a lot of barriers to entry, right? In other words, they have patents, distribution controls. In some cases, they are so big that if you try to threaten them, they just simply buy you out. In some cases, the government has given these companies a special license to operate and nobody else can compete against them. And in some cases, these companies have become already brand loyal. People are loyal to these companies. I mean, do you know that, for example, Coca-Cola, the brand Coca-Cola, more people in the world have heard about Coca-Cola than about Jesus Christ? You can go to the most remote places in the Amazon and people have heard about Coca-Cola. But there are millions of people that have never heard about Christ. But everybody knows about Coca-Cola. So as you can see, the brand has become so big that nobody will be able to compete against Coca-Cola. Think about the jackets that you buy, guys. The Patagonia and the North Face. Right? I mean, are they really that good? And the answer is, I don't know. But people are willing to pay the extra price for those products. Think about the baseball, the bats. What's the name of the company that makes the bats? The wood bats? Louisville, you know what I'm talking about? The baseball bats. Okay, in other words, they have a monopoly. A few companies have the oligopoly. Okay, so what else do we have in this chapter? That's the end of the chapter. So as you can see, then for oligopolies, there's no formula to determine output. There's no formula to determine the price. The companies either they're going to try to kill each other or they try to cooperate. In most cases, in the United States, most companies choose to cooperate. Why do they choose to cooperate? Because the option is to go and try to fight, but if you fight, you're going to get wounded and probably you're going to bleed and probably you're going to die. So why take the risk when you can just cooperate with your enemy, you know, and split the market? And that's the end of the chapter.